intensifies. Trumpism is peaking with rhetoric and military pressure rising together. There is still no truce and no common ground. Donald Trump has rejected Iran's latest proposal, calling it not enough and says that the deadline is final. While talks are still on, he has refused to discuss any ceasefire, even as mediators push for a breakthrough.
They've made a proposal, and it's a significant proposal. It's a significant step. It's not good enough, but it's a very significant step. They have made, they're negotiating now, and they've made a very significant step. We'll see what happens. The war is about one thing. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Had we not broken the Barack Hussein Obama agreement, you know what I'm talking about, the Iran nuclear deal. This is years ago, my first term. You would have had a total, Israel would have been gone, extinguished. Israel would have been wiped off the face of the earth, and the entire Middle East would have been, at a minimum, in big trouble. But I did it. That was phase one. We killed Soleimani. Without Soleimani, if they had Soleimani, it would be a whole different thing. Maybe. Would still be winning, but it would have been harder. Because we are obliterating that country. And I hate to do it, but we're obliterating, and they just don't want to say uncle. They don't want to cry, as the expression goes, uncle, but they will. And if they don't, they'll have no bridges, they'll have no power plants, they'll have no anything. I won't go further because there are other things that are worse than those two. And we might have, well, the thing, if I had my choice, what would I like to do? Take the oil. No, you have a much different group of people. Now, I'm not saying we are dealing with them. Essentially, they have till 8 o'clock tomorrow night, Eastern time. But we are dealing with them. I think it's going well. I think it's going fine, but we'll have to see. You have to understand, we've been dealing with these people for 47 years. I'm standing here with a much more powerful Iran as of a month ago, not anymore. Right now, they are decapitated. But I'm standing here a month ago with a much more powerful Iran than it was at any point during 47 years. This should have been handled by 7 presidents, a lot of presidents. And those presidents are saying now, every one of them to their friends, we should have done this a long time ago. So it's not something I like doing. It's very dangerous, and we're getting them at the height of their strength.
Joining us now is CNN News 18's Akash Sharma. Akash, a very good morning to you and thank you for joining us on the broadcast. Now, President Trump has rejected Iran's proposal as not enough, and while also refusing to discuss a ceasefire. So now, what are we looking at? Like, he has given a Tuesday deadline and he continues to mount up the threats and ultimatums. So what kind of a resolution are we looking at?
Right. So first of all, Shreya, you see, you cannot predict, what U.S. president is going to do. But one thing is for sure that at this point, given the scenario, even U.S. wants these talks, to be successful. And this is possibly the reason why, he always mentions about the mediation and the talks going on. Of course, he has ruled out ceasefire, but you never know in case of President Donald Trump, because we have been seeing that how, in fact, as far as deadline for Strait of Hormuz is concerned, so he has changed the deadlines not just once or twice, but several times. You must be remembering how initially, 48 in fact, 24 hours window was given. Then he said 7 days, is what was suggested by his administration. Instead, he has given 10 days. And now 48 hours window as that 10 days window is about to lapse. And now, we are awaiting, in fact, next 24 hours would be crucial given the fact that these, in fact, deadlines were given, and possibly Iran is, not going to accept the demands that have been put by U.S. Talks are still ongoing. We have been given to understand that mediation talks are still ongoing, and there are several countries, in fact, that are participating and that are somewhere trying to achieve a breakthrough. But it would be important to see as to how things pan out, given the fact that U.S. president has ruled out any sort of ceasefire. On the other hand, we have the U.S. forces very much present in the area, energy infrastructure, bridges, and the facilities is on target. We know that how, in fact, the social post of U.S. president somewhere mentioned about the bridges and the energy infrastructure there. On the other hand, Iran has in fact said that they are going to retaliate, very strongly, given the fact that since day one, they have been attacking Gulf nations and in fact the energy infrastructure in Gulf countries. So it is, not very predictable as to what is going to happen, but definitely 24 to 48 hours a window is very important in this war, where, we'll be looking forward as to what is going to happen in the West Asia.
Right, Akash, Ayusha this side. Very good morning to you. Now, speaking of the deadlines, we do understand that Iran has also, in fact, formally rejected the ceasefire proposal. In fact, they have put out a 10-point plan. Could you walk us through those 10 points?
Oh, yes. In fact, as far as Iran is concerned, so they have
All right. It seems we have lost connection with Akash, but we will keep tracking for you the latest developments as far as the ceasefire is concerned. What we do understand is that there is a ceasefire which was on cards. Yesterday, we brought to you the Reuters report. But remember, in the late night conference done by Donald Trump, the US president, he had ruled out ceasefire. In fact, not just US president, also Iran has formally rejected that ceasefire proposal. They in fact put out their own 10-point for which we will connect with Akash in just a few minutes. But for now, the Trumpism, the rhetoric of Trumpism is peaking, with the military pressure also rising together. Now, there is still no truce, no common ground as we speak, as we have entered at least the 5th week of the war. And with that, we have re-established connection with Akash Sharma. Akash, thank you for joining us. I was just talking about the ceasefire proposal and how Iran also continues to reject that ceasefire proposal. Could you walk us through that 10-point essential proposal?
So, Aisha, I was mentioning about these 10 points that have been put forward by Iran. And, the important points are of course, the guarantee to stop the war permanently, and also the fees that they want to, in fact, charge on the ships that are passing. In fact, Iran has mentioned that how they are going to split that particular fees with Oman. And there are several other points. The important ones, of course, the Strait of Hormuz, the opening, and the fees, the split of that particular fees between, the Iran and in fact, Oman. But it will be important to see as to if US at all is going to accept that proposal, given the fact that we have seen in the past days too, and in fact, this is not the first time that a proposal has come from Iran. In fact, a while back, we were discussing that how US had in fact put out 15 pointers proposal where they wanted to negotiate on that particular proposal. What is going to happen if or not US is going to accept this proposal is something that we'll wait and watch for. But definitely, it is in fact an important stage of this war where, a deciding, time is in fact about to come, where in the next 24 to 48 hours it will be decided as to if it is going, if this war is going to continue, or we are going to see some sort of ceasefire between the US and in fact Iran.